Good morning and welcome to another episode of Leon County Today with Sheriff Walt McNeil. And Sheriff, it is spring break week. My kids have been counting down the days.
Oh, so have I, quite honestly. It's turning warm.
Yes.
The pollen's back out.
Oh, yeah.
Spring's in the air, and when spring's in the air, what happens? Our kids go to the beaches and they get out in those vehicles and they start driving, and somehow they always find a way to get in trouble.
Yeah, and the high schoolers are, definitely looking to head to the beaches and have fun, and of course, they're not 21 yet, but we're hoping they're not getting into any activities. But we do want to talk today about impaired driving and the serious consequences that could come along with that.
Yeah, I mean, too often. I've been doing this for so long. It just seems every year, without any kind of break in between, every year it seems that one of our children finds themselves behind the wheel of a car and tragically has an accident. We're hoping, as we start this campaign for spring break, to avoid having any deaths in Leon County. Particularly, it can all be avoided. That's right. The great thing about this is if we just pay attention, not only the kids, but the adults out there as well. Drinking and driving or being impaired in driving is something that I hope we start to see in our rearview mirror. I mean, we've been talking about this forever, it seems.
Yes.
And the simple thing of being concerned not so much about yourself, but concerned about your fellow man.
Absolutely.
Or fellow woman.
Yes.
As you're out there driving. And I hope that our program today will reach some hearts and minds and make a difference in our community.
Yeah, we really want to say to all the parents who are watching out there this morning, if your kids are there, if you got some high schoolers and maybe even middle schoolers, wake them up or wherever they're doing in the other room and sit them down, because our next segment coming up, Sheriff, we have someone joining us in studio. I'm really excited to hear her story. She's sharing her story for the first time in a television setting.
Yeah, an incredible story that I think will bring home better than I can. I mean, to have somebody tell their story about what happened to them with respect to an impaired driver and how it changed their life forever, I think it's compelling, and I hope it makes a difference with our audience here today.
All right, well, we're not going to take up much more time in here. We want to save that time to hear more of that compelling story. So be sure to stick around. After the break, we're going to speak with a local woman who shares her story of the dangers of impaired driving and exactly what that can look like. But coming up next, we're going to check in with Deputy McMillan with your Crime Tip Tuesday.
Hello everyone, this is Deputy Shade McMillan, your Public Information Officer for the Leon County Sheriff's Office, and here's today's Crime Tip Tuesday. Senior citizens can learn how to protect themselves from crime by following these simple suggestions to keep themselves safe. When out walking, always plan your route and stay alert to your surroundings. Walk confidently. Never leave your purse unattended while out shopping. Never give your banking information to anyone over the phone. Banks rarely ask for this information for fraud prevention purposes. Be aware of any unsolicited offers to make repairs to your home. Deal only with reputable businesses. Always lock your vehicle and home doors and windows when you are home or away. Have a great day.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up, do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
In times of stress, such as quarantine, what goes on behind closed doors can be terrifying, but you don't have to suffer in silence. Help is here. Love is not controlling. Love is not frightening. And love is not violent. Love is respect. If you need assistance or just want to talk, we are here. Contact the Domestic Abuse Hotline at 800-500-1119 to speak to someone in your area. For more information, visit thedvcc.org.
In every family, small conversations can make a big impact. I grew up on tour with my parents. Kind of different, but we bonded over music and we talked. Honest conversations, like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic. Your honesty gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted in my own life.
And I wanted you to know, from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now, that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs, in whatever you do.
Talk, they hear you.
Joining me now is Vickie Horne, who knows firsthand the impact that impaired drivers can have on others. Vickie, tell us what happened to you some 20 years ago.
I was on my way to California on vacation, and as I was leaving Las Vegas on a desert road, a young lady who was out at a party with 3 of her friends ran a stop sign and hit our car on the driver's side, and it hit so hard that the car flipped like 3 or 4 times, landed on the roof, and I was told that I was screaming and crying, that I was in pain, and I was hurting. I woke up there was a car behind us, so luckily there was a car behind us, and then they called.
They stopped.
They stopped, and they called for paramedics. And 3 days later, I woke up in a hospital in Los Angeles, and I was told, I was asked if I could move my feet, move my legs, move my feet, and I said no. And they asked if I could feel them, I said no, and they said, well, you're paralyzed from the waist down. And and with that confusion, with tubes all in my nose and my mouth and all that, I was, really confused what was going on. But I guess I was really blessed to have a good attitude, growing up through life. And so my first words out of my mouth were, well, if I can't run, I'll wheelchair race. And that was the attitude I've taken all the next 20 to 30 years.
So you were a runner, an athlete?
I was an athlete before I got hurt. I did the running thing and did a lot of different sports. And
okay. Vickie, how did that experience change your life?
Well, it was hard. It was very difficult. I had to learn to live my life in a wheelchair and being paralyzed. There's more to being paralyzed than walking. There's a lot of, just a big change of life.
Well, talk about the rehabilitation. How did rehabilitation go for you?
Well, I was in the hospital for 3 months, learning how to, transfer in and out of a bed or in and out of a chair, like a couch and all that. Learning how to cook from a wheelchair and then drive in a wheelchair. And, psychologically, it was difficult and also physically. But I've taken the attitude, as one of my doctors said, if you can either lie down and be miserable and make everyone else miserable, or you can get up and do something about it. So I've chosen to live my life and and get up and live my life, and not let the young lady that was drunk, ruin my life.
Vickie, what would you say to anybody out there who's this thing that I call it buzz driving? Mm-hmm. What would you say to anybody out there who would like to get behind the wheel of a car, and knowing that they're impaired in some way? What kind of advice would you give them, or to anybody that would consider doing that?
Right. Well, personally, I think drinking and driving, being impaired, I think it's selfish. It's not a matter if you're going to hit somebody or hurt somebody. I think it's a matter of when it's going to happen. And not only are you not only are you injuring somebody, it also affects their family. And it's a big change for everybody, not just the person that gets injured.
Yeah, Vickie, talk about that if you will for just a bit. How does it impact your family with respect to the disability that was caused by this accident?
Well, of course, when my family, I was out in California when I got hurt, so my family had to come travel from South Florida to California to see me. And when they came to the rehab center and saw me, I'm smiling and trying to be real brave and strong, and I can see the tears. I can see them hiding their tears, and I know it affected them. It was sad for them to see me in that position. But when I went home, it was different. It was just hard on them. They didn't, seeing that athlete turn into somebody in a wheelchair, all the things I used to do that I couldn't do anymore, it was hard on them. It was just sad sometimes, but we all decided to get through it in the best way that we can.
Vickie, in 30 seconds, what advice would you give our young people out there as spring break starts out?
Just don't drink and drive.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have fun without drinking and driving.
Vickie, you've been so committed to this cause, and you've started your own YouTube channel. Tell us about your YouTube channel and how it's functioning, and how can it get in contact with you through YouTube?
Yes. First of all, my husband started his own channel, Coach Bob 3, and then he said that was so much fun that he was doing his channel. He convinced me to do my channel, so I've called it Basic Para Stuff with Coach Vic. It's just fun little snippets about me, how the things I do in a wheelchair, and there is some videos about how to drive a car and how to cook, and just things about my story.
Up next, Mothers Against Drunk Driving shares information you should know before spring break fun kicks in. Stay tuned.
I drive 65,000 miles each year in my bus. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. You don't want to be in the blind spot of a 40,000-pound bus when I have less than a second to react. I do what I can by changing lanes and taking turns slowly. It really helps when people look out for me too. Give me room to operate safely. It's our roads, it's our safety.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Some things in your medicine cabinet are more dangerous than others. When it comes to prescription drugs, opioid pain medicines can be addictive and even deadly. Half the people who misuse prescription pain medicines get them from a friend or family member. Be part of the solution. Go through your medicine cabinets, drawers, anywhere you keep unused opioid pills, patches, or syrups. Find out how to dispose of them safely. Visit fda.gov/drug disposal.
We're back with Kristen Allen of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Kristen, we just heard Vickie Horne's story about how an impaired driver's bad decision changed their life forever. Tell us about the common types of driving problems that impaired drivers we have out there in our community.
Sure. Well, thank you for having us on.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate it. So, you know, it's really the same thing that people already know what impaired driving is. It's any substance that impairs your ability to drive a car or a motor vehicle, boat, whatever the case may be. And it's really, it's drugs, illicit or non-illicit. It's prescription. People don't realize that maybe what they are taking legally by prescription, it could impair them to drive and operate a motor vehicle. So it's those. It's, you know, alcohol obviously is the number one common factor that we find in crashes is alcohol use. So it really just depends on, you know, what people are ingesting. And obviously we say don't ingest anything if you're going to be operating a motor vehicle.
Yeah. Kristen, I'm just curious, in that conversation with Vickie, I was really moved by the fact that her life's been changed forever. She's in a wheelchair. How many people in our community do you know annually or on a regular basis, how many people are impacted that way? Not their life is lost, but their whole life is changed, however, by a drunk driver.
Sure. So in the local community, I don't know those statistics, but I definitely know that it's thousands of people who have been injured in DUI crashes, be it drugged or alcohol. So it happens all too often. And sometimes we don't hear about those injury survivors because people are more focused on the death and fatalities. But it's still devastating. People have to live with the rest of their life with those injuries and the care and the recovery. And some people, you know, their lives are changed forever, just like Vickie's.
Yeah, I'm always concerned. You know, we talk about spring break coming up and kids getting in vehicles and going out there and driving. What are you seeing among the teenagers out there in our community on an annual basis? Is spring break actually a time that we have a lot of fatalities or a lot of accidents taking place?
Well, I mean, number one reason teens are being killed are car crashes. So be it's their inexperience or they're having drugs and alcohol in their system. With spring break, you know, for teens, it's like, you know, a time to let loose and have fun and enjoy, you know, the time off from school and go to the beach or wherever they choose. But they don't always make the safe choices for themselves, being if they get in a car with somebody who has been drinking or drugging and now they're a passenger that, you know, they could be impacted, they could be killed or injured. It's taking their life in their own hands if they are driving after they are drinking or drugging. And it's just bad choices that they're making because they're not in the right frame of mind. They're just thinking, you know, I'm having a good time. I know I can drive. You know, some people say I drive better when I'm high or when I'm drunk. And if you feel different, you drive different.
Talk to us about, Kristen, about some of these kids you just described, they're drinking and driving, and that's a bad habit they've got, and they can't get rid of that habit per se. Mm-hmm. What kind of resources do they have in our community to help with those kids that have, or adults that have drinking problems?
Sure. So Matt doesn't handle the treatment side of things, but I know the resources are out there. Obviously for teens, if they can find a trusted adult to talk about their problems with, they might be able to be then directed to other treatment centers or substance abuse centers. You know, I know that there's friends, they trust their friends to talk about their problems with. So finding that one friend that can actually get them the help that they need. And it's talking to a teacher, it's talking to whoever is possibly going to listen to them that they feel that can give them the help that they need. It really just, you know, it's a sad state of mind that, you know, we want to help these kids and they just have to make the choice to want to get help.
Right. Well, Kristen, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on the show, and thanks for what all you all do with the drinking and driving problem in our community. I really appreciate it. I know that you guys are going to make a difference. Thank you, Kristen. Just ahead, we continue our Women's History Month series spotlighting inspirational LCSO leaders. Stay tuned.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know, wherever you are.
Before you throw away those unused medicines,
those pills for your back pain or migraines,
just think for a minute. When you throw them in the trash, they can become lethal in the wrong hands. There are better ways to dispose of your unused meds.
There are lots of police stations, local pharmacies, and hospitals that are approved to take in unused meds
and dispose of them safely, so they don't end up in the wrong hands, our hands.
To find a medicine disposal site near you, visit www.safe.pharmacy.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up, do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
I started with the Leon County Sheriff's Office in 2002. I have been in corrections for 23 years now, and in 2002 I came into the agency as a correctional officer. I put in for my promotion and I got my promotion to sergeant and worked for the Housing Bureau for 6 years. At that point I transferred down to booking and releasing again, and I was a sergeant in booking and releasing for 2 years. Went up for my next promotion to lieutenant. Got my promotion and went back to the Housing Bureau again, spent a year in housing, year and a half in housing, and then I was transferred to booking and releasing and medical and property, and as the lieutenant over that area, yes. Okay, I have the responsibility of booking and releasing. I have the medical unit, I have the property unit, and I oversee the Zoom court services unit at the moment. And I have 9 sergeants and roughly 40 officers under my supervision. So generally, first when I come in, I start checking in with my units and make sure that everybody's staffed and everybody is working functionally. I take all my paperwork and I go check in with my captain and I see if he has anything on the agenda for me to do today and anything he might need. And then I'm pretty much just on the move as far as checking in with booking and checking in with releasing. I make rounds through medical. It's my responsibility to make rounds back there and make sure that everything's happening and that the clinics that we provide are all covered. And I check on the Zoom courtroom and make sure that they have got their full attendance and they're getting their inmates moved back and forth. And so it can be a very busy day. I do a lot of walking. A lot of walking. It's a big area. It's a big area and it's all high liability areas. So you kind of have to stay on point and pay attention to what's going on, because they're all areas that can go south very quick if everybody's not doing what they're supposed to be doing. You don't come to this job sleepy, and you don't come to this job exhausted from another job. You have to focus on this job, and you have to be on point when you're here. You learn a lot as you go through this job, and you learn how to recognize different things going on with different people. This job requires that you wear so many hats, because some days I'm a counselor, some days I'm a mother, some days I'm somewhat of a father, some days I'm a disciplinarian, and so you have to know which hat to pull out of the closet with whatever comes to you and deal with that. Like I said, with people being in crisis mode, this is a place where sometimes you realize in life that you truly only have yourself. I got your back, brother, doesn't always come through when it gets in court. So there's a lot of breakdown of stuff that happens in here, and we try to support them, and we try to get them through this stuff. It's hard business. But as long as they come in here and they're functional and they interact and they don't create the problems, we do the best we can to make it, like I said, as civil as possible. When I first started with the agency, there were not very many female supervisors, and we were very male-heavy in supervisors. And this is the world of alpha personalities. Over the past handful of years, probably halfway through my career, you started to see a rise with females going into supervisor positions. And especially during this last administration, we have had a huge influx of females into supervisory positions. So it gives you that something to look forward to, and to know that the world is changing and that we're being recognized as equals inside this building. And I do applaud the sheriff for him ensuring that that's what's being represented in here, that we're just as capable as the males are. I could not even begin to make this happen without the people that are around me. And this agency, we have that servant heart, and we work together, and that I don't think that you can find that everywhere. I know that in my history of different careers that I've had, this has never been the case. And I know that because of what we do by nature, it does draw people together to protect each other and to make sure that we get through this. That's the biggest thing, is that this, like I said, this agency is all about being all in. It's all about being together and getting the job done together, and everybody coming in and going out the exact same way. So that's always been impressed on me, and it's what brings me back here every day. I actually love my job, and I can't imagine doing anything else.
Why? Why do we ignore the things that give us pause, that seem out of place, that don't feel right? The answer to why defines who we are. So if you see something, why do you say something?
I see safe for my friends.
For my community.
For my family.
For each other. Because all of this matters. We all have something worth protecting. So why do you see safe? Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
In times of stress, such as quarantine, what goes on behind closed doors can be terrifying, but you don't have to suffer in silence. Help is here. Love is not controlling. Love is not frightening. And love is not violent. Love is respect. If you need assistance or just want to talk, we are here. Contact the Domestic Abuse Hotline at 800-500-1119 to speak to someone in your area. For more information, visit thedvcc.org.
I've been driving a truck for 40 years now. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. Like the trucks can't stop quickly. It takes my 80,000-pound truck 200 yards to come to a complete stop. So I always do my best to give a lot of cushion. It helps when other drivers realize that and do the same. Please give trucks the space we need so we can all stay safe. It's our roads, it's our safety.
Every year, the Salvation Army serves nearly 30 million people in need. That's one person every second. So by the time you've finished watching this, 30 more lives will have been changed for good. All thanks to your donations.
Thank you.
Give today.
Come on! Go, Diane! Yeah, keep it going! Yeah! Go, honey!
If you love them enough to drive an hour to cheer them on as they get beat 11-0 in the rain, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Throw that ball, Diane. Woo! You got this.
Natural disasters are a fact of life in the U.S. And between activities and school, chances are you won't be with your kids when they happen. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids can help your children feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Welcome back to you, Sheriff. Of course, Women's History Month, we're still in here. And, you know, our detention facility, I think a lot of times when people hear about law enforcement in the community, sometimes they get forgotten, but it's a really important job they do. And our lieutenant featured today is doing an amazing job.
Well, Nora is an unsung hero, no doubt about it. Lieutenant Schulthesis, I mean, every time I meet her, I mean, she is one of those persons who, she's going to come right to you and speak exactly truth to power. She's just one of those people that she doesn't play around. She's direct, and one of those leaders that I am so happy to have the opportunity to work with her. And I'm hoping, obviously she's been there for a while with us, but I'm hoping that she promotes up and gets higher in the organization, because she's a tremendous leader.
Absolutely, definitely a great leader. And really our special guest today on the show, hopefully that message resonated with a lot of folks out there. As Kristen from MAD said, the #1 killer of teens in the U.S., car crashes.
Yeah, that's, and the thing I really have to talk about a lot to our people in our community is that this can be avoided. That's the takeaway from all this. Do the small, little, simple things. If you got a drinking problem, get some help. And if you're young people out there and you're going about joyriding, understand it's not just about you. It's about those other persons out there on our roadways. And we can make a true difference here in Leon County if we can all just pitch in and, as we say in the Leon County Sheriff's Office, be all in service to our community.
Right, it used to be that, it was, have a designated driver, which is important, but now you got things like Uber and Lyft and so many different options. There's really no reason to get behind the wheel if you're impaired.
None whatsoever. And I hope the parents are listening too. Oftentimes the kids get their habits from us, and we've got to make sure that we're being fine examples for our youth out there in this community.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Sheriff, for being all in. Another great show today.
Thank you.
All right. And be sure to tune back in next week for another episode of Leon County Today. Have a wonderful day, everybody.